ABC announced Jimmy Kimmel's late night show will be preempted indefinitely after comments he made Monday night about the accused shooter of Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Dozens of people have been fired, suspended, or put under investigation by their employers since Charlie Kirk was assassinated last week. The reason? Their social media posts about the conservative political influencer. In some instances, these firings and investigations have been cheered on by government officials and lawmakers. NPR's Ju Joffy-Block and Huo Jingnan have been reporting about this and join us now. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, Jingnan, let's start with you. What do we know so far about who exactly is facing consequences for these online comments about Charlie Kirk since his murder?
So far, we know that at least 40 people and counting have been affected. We're talking about teachers, civil servants, nurses, doctors, and that is just what's just been publicly reported by news outlets.
And this is in part being driven by a campaign we're seeing online. Kirk's supporters and high-profile right-wing influencers, along with some elected officials, have been mobilizing to get people fired for posting in a celebratory way about Kirk's murder. There's actually a couple of websites tracking these. One claims that it's collected 60,000 submissions, though right now you can't see the posts and we can't verify that number or that any of these posts or all of these posts are authentic. Some people who've been publicly called out online for their posts told us they've received threats to their physical safety.
And what sort of things have people posted that led to them being on these various lists?
Well, I should note that there have been posts and videos of people celebrating or commenting in ways that most people would find offensive or even disturbing. Among the people we know are facing consequences at work, there's a range in what they've said. You know, some said Kirk deserved it. Some are objecting to how he was memorialized. Others focused on lack of action on gun violence. One staff member at a public university in Tennessee was fired for posting, "Looks like Charlie spoke his fate into existence. Hate begets hate, zero sympathy." Many posts express varying degrees of schadenfreude. You know, some go all the way to saying good riddance and karma. And on the other hand, some media figures, including MSNBC's Matthew Dowd and Washington Post's Karen Attiah, have been fired as well for comments that were not celebratory, but were critical of Kirk's views and his contributions to our current political environment.
For context, Kirk had a large following for his conservative Christian views. That included promoting large families. But he also made some incendiary remarks. For example, he asserted that the 1964 Civil Rights Act was a mistake and cast immigrants and transgender people as threats. He also said that some gun deaths were worth it to have the Second Amendment, which was widely cited in online posts.
Well, Jingnan, how much can we say so far about whether any of these firings violate the First Amendment? What do you think?
Well, I spoke to Rebecca Trumbull, a professor at Northeastern University who studies First Amendment issues, among other things. And she says it depends on circumstances, like the specific job, the employer, and the state. It may be that in many cases no laws have been violated. Still, Trumbull says that what's really troubling is government officials are also calling for people to be fired or face other consequences for their speech.
Well, what are conservative officials and lawmakers saying so far about all this?
Well, yeah, we've seen right-wing influencers on social media highlight cases of certain posts, and then Republican officials at various levels of government reposting and joining the calls for people to lose their jobs. You know, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn has called for the immediate firing of multiple people in her state. Deputy Secretary of State Chris Landau says he's taking action against foreigners who made posts, quote, praising, rationalizing, or making light of Kirk's assassination. He's asked people to send him examples. He says he's revoking visas. The head of the DOJ's Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon, shared a post that Clemson University was firing a professor over their comments and suggested universities could lose federal funding.
Another striking example is Clay Higgins, a Republican member of the House from Louisiana. He posted he would, quote, use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life for every post or commenter that belittled the assassination. This is a big tone shift. For years, Republicans have said that when tech companies moderate content, it's censorship. Here's Rebecca Trumbull, the First Amendment expert I talked to.
We are running at essentially warp speed directly into maybe an even worse moment of government repression and censorship than we witnessed during the McCarthy era.
Well, how much have we seen this kind of crowdsourced targeting of people over speech before?
You know, the internet is definitely built for these kinds of crowdsourcing projects. You know, Charlie Kirk himself rose to fame for creating a watch list encouraging students to report professors they consider to be radical left. You know, we've seen some efforts to call out people to get fired, you know, in the wake of George Floyd's murder and at other moments. But what stands out in the current case is that the way in which the government officials at various levels are using their power.
That is NPR's Ju Joffy Block and Hua Jingnan. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby.
Republicans in Georgia spent years building ties with companies in South Korea, culminating in a Hyundai locating a multi-billion-dollar electric vehicle plant outside Savannah. But last week, federal immigration agents raided a battery factory at that site. They detained some 300 South Korean citizens. And as WABE's Sam Greenglass reports, the incident has put Republicans in an awkward position.
When the Trump administration announced the largest workplace immigration raid in American history, many Georgia Republicans swiftly cheered the news. Round 'em up, posted Congressman Mike Collins. Representative Buddy Carter applauded what he called Trump's bold action. But apart from a statement by a spokesperson saying in part that Georgia remains committed to not allowing the incident to undo decades of mutually beneficial partnerships, GOP Governor Brian Kemp himself hasn't said anything.
He's the one who does have somewhat of a balancing act.
That's Republican strategist Brian Robinson.
He's got to, on the one hand, consider his politics in Georgia, but also he's got to make sure that the South Koreans feel appreciated and make sure that bridges don't get burned.
During Kemp's first campaign for governor, he ran an ad offering to round up illegal immigrants himself in his truck. This summer, he dispatched the Georgia National Guard to help with immigration enforcement. But Kemp has also pledged to make Georgia the electric mobility capital of the world, aiming to create thousands of new jobs with the help of generous state incentives. The Hyundai plant has been billed as the largest economic development project in state history. South Korean companies SK Battery and solar panel maker C.O.W.S have invested billions here too. Kemp has even accepted the Korea Society's most prestigious award.
The peach is a meaningful symbol to us both. I understand that in Korea it represents happiness, prosperity, and longevity. That pretty well sums up Georgia's relationship with Korea.
That relationship goes back decades. In 2006, Hyundai's parent company, Kia, broke ground on a huge plant in West Georgia. Robinson remembers traveling to South Korea with Kemp's predecessor, dining with Hyundai executives at a fancy hotel in Seoul.
We had these South Korean companies come in and really transform parts of the state. All of a sudden, there's some Korean restaurants in former sleepy southern towns.
Robinson says these investments brought new life to struggling parts of rural Georgia. Trump has also urged big companies to make their products in the U.S. He was asked about the raid on Monday.
And we're going to have to train people. And the way you train people is bring people in that know what they're doing and let them stay for a little while and help. So I'm going to look at that.
On Thursday, South Korea's president said Korean companies will likely hesitate to continue investing in the U.S. without improvements to the visa system. The raid at the plant, a joint venture of Hyundai and LG Energy Solution, has also provided an opening for more populist Republicans to dial up their criticism of the foreign corporations coming into Georgia. Congressman Collins, who's running for U.S. Senate, posted, "Tax dollars should not be used to steal jobs away from Georgia workers." Collins and other Senate candidates have tried to tie Hyundai to their opponent, Democratic U.S. Senator John Ossoff, but not to Kemp. And it's not just Republicans walking a fine line.
I'm ashamed as to where we're headed. I almost wish we would take the Statue of Liberty and send it back to France because we've lost our way.
Democrats like State Senator Derek Mallow of Savannah have slammed Trump's immigration tactics.
But I also want to make sure that I don't have a corporate entity that is knowingly and intentionally subverting the law. And I also want to make sure that the people who are citizens in this state are receiving the opportunities that were promised when this project came.
A chartered Korean air jet took off from Atlanta Thursday to bring the South Koreans back to Seoul. But the economic, diplomatic, and political fallout from the incident is far from over. For NPR News, I'm Sam Greenglass in Atlanta.
There is a saying that hard skills will get you an interview, but it is the soft skills that will get you the job. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Imagine two candidates interviewing for the same role at a high-profile company. Both of them have a strong pedigree, the same qualifications, the same technical skills, the same work experience. All the tangible abilities are the same. So how will you choose the better candidate? Common sense says you will look at the intangibles, in other words, the soft skills. The term soft skills essentially refers to abilities that extend beyond the technical. These skills are more nuanced, like behaviors that make someone a good team member or a strong leader. Stuff like effective communication, critical thinking, empathy, teamwork, even active listening. There is no definitive list, but soft skills are everything that help people do their job or live their life in an effective way. For instance, think of an economist. They may be very good at statistics and analysis, but if they are unable to convey the meaning of that data, it may not help the people it affects. Or think of a manager. They can have an MBA, they can have the technical know-how, but to understand their team's needs, they need critical thinking, they need empathy. So no matter your job, you need both hard skills and the lesser touted low-profile soft skills. And research proves this. Here's what studies say. 85% of job success comes from soft skills. People with good soft skills are more likely to earn higher wages and learn specialized skills quicker. So soft skills determine how far up you can climb the career ladder. And most of all, they make workers more resilient, more adaptable. And this is crucial, especially today, where technology is moving rapidly. AI is reshaping the workforce. Specialized hard skills are rising and falling at a surprising speed. The job market is tough. At a time like this, soft skills matter more than ever. That said, the importance given to them is not really new. Companies have always rewarded soft skills, whether they acknowledge it or not. Before you get the job, you go through personality tests. You're asked questions like, are you a team player? And once you're in, soft skills are one of the criteria for promotions. Apart from improving your job prospects, they also help you in other ways, in your relationships, your hobbies, even your health. In fact, people with high emotional intelligence are less likely to experience stress and anxiety, which is why people are often pushed to cultivate these skills early on in their childhood. Students are not just graded on tests, but also on classroom interaction, on teamwork during projects. In fact, over the past few years, many governments have introduced programs focused on emotional and social skills. From India to Singapore, from Finland to the UK, soft skills are increasingly becoming a part of school curriculums. For some people, soft skills are innate. For others, developing them can be challenging. Because unlike gaining factual knowledge, honing people skills can be a lot of work. But it's not impossible. Experts suggest you start with empathy. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. Secondly, focus on effective communication. It relies on your body language, your words, and your tone. That's the 3 V's: visual, vocal, verbal. Thirdly, don't be afraid to study others or to ask for help, because like all skills, soft skills can be learned and honed over time. And it is crucial that they are, because being clever is not enough. You need those intangible skills to set you apart and to shape your career and indeed your life.
Shit, a black woman that got 2 kids, going to work every day, busting her ass.
We've been talking today about the job market. It's in a kind of holding pattern. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, job growth has been slowing down. But people are not necessarily leaving the workforce. We're talking here about workforce participation that changes from time to time. And some groups are slipping out in greater numbers than others. Our colleagues from The Indicator, Darian Woods and Waylon Wong, explain why moms are scaling back on their work lives.
Nicole Damstetter lives in Orlando, Florida, with her husband, their 4-year-old daughter, 2 dogs, a cat, and 5 chickens.
You've got your own eggs, right? So you're like making money in this economy.
It's great. It's great. I use them to barter with the neighbors.
Nicole spent roughly the last decade in the tech sector, helping nonprofit organizations use software. And she says she had always defined herself by her job. But that began to change when her daughter started part-time preschool.
She was really coming alive and getting this personality being at preschool. And then I started to think ahead and realized I've only got a little time left before she starts kindergarten. And I really reflected that I wanted to be home with my daughter.
Nicole quit her job in April, and she wasn't the only mom who left their job this year. In the first half of 2025, the percentage of moms in the labor force fell from around 70% to 67%.
These numbers come from economist Misty Hegenes. She's a professor at the University of Kansas and the author of a forthcoming book called Swiftonomics: How Women Mastermind and Redefine Our Economy.
What we're seeing now is, a couple years out from the pandemic, some of the larger employers in the federal government have really pushed on this idea of return to office. And I think it's had an unintended consequence on caregivers' ability to work, and we see that in the data.
In other cases, even when employers are flexible, it still doesn't work out. That was what happened with Ivy Abid. Her background is in science education, and she had been working full-time at Chicago Public Schools, organizing career fairs and helping high school students get internships. Ivy is also a mom to a 2-year-old daughter.
And she's wonderful in the light of my life.
Ivy's daughter has a condition that required a lot of hospital stays during the first year of her life. Things stabilized after a recent surgery, but Ivy's mother also started having memory problems. Ivy and her husband moved her mother from Alaska to Chicago.
Ivy and her supervisors tried to work out a part-time arrangement, but she needed even more flexibility than what her school could offer. So she traded her full-time job for a part-time role teaching biology at a community college.
Ivy says she's happy with her new work-life balance. She's gotten to spend more time with her daughter and her mother. She's even found time for hobbies like bike riding. The downside is the hit to her income.
I'm doing the same kind of work that would be earning $45 or $50 an hour if I were a full-time employee. But as a part-time employee, in order to get that flexibility, I have to get paid half as much.
A common thread in the stories we heard is that some mums are rethinking their relationship with work.
These conversations are what economist Misty Hegenes said should be happening among employers and policymakers. She hopes those conversations will lead to efforts on affordable childcare and workplace flexibility. And that, she says, will help keep moms in the workforce.
Darian Woods,
Waylon Wong, NPR News.
The man knot, race, class, genre, and the dilemmas of black manhood.
Black KC Power and Light employee says he was discriminated against and fired. For 15 years of his life, the Kansas City Power and Light District was the place Cassius Riley chose to make his living. That was until, a lawsuit now contends, he faced such on-the-job discrimination that it became the source of his humiliation. On Friday, Riley, who is black and 69, filed a race, age and disability discrimination lawsuit in Jackson County Circuit Court, naming as defendants the Cordish Companies of Baltimore, Maryland, creator of the KC Power and Light District, together with co-defendant Center Management, which hires maintenance, housekeeping and groundskeeping for Cordish. In a statement to the Star, the Cordish companies insisted the company engaged in no forms of discrimination. We deny Mr. Riley's allegations, a statement from the Power and Light District says. Mr. Riley worked in facilities at the Kansas City Power and Light District for nearly 15 years. He was treated in a lawful and fair manner throughout his employment. The Kansas City Power and Light District is committed to equal employment opportunity and maintains workplace policies against discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. In his suit, as filed by Kansas City Attorney Nicolaus Secord of Ciro Smith Dixon PC, Riley is the plaintiff claims, defendants subjected plaintiff to illegal race, age and/or disability discrimination, including a hostile work environment. It added later, defendants' actions and conduct were willful, wanton and malicious. Contacted by the Star, Secord said his firm's policy is not to discuss ongoing litigation. He also did not make his client, Riley, available for an interview. As laid out in the suit, Riley first began working for Cordish in 2008, before the KC Power and Light Entertainment District had been fully built. His job was as a facilities manager, dealing with maintenance, groundskeeping and housekeeping in the 9-block district. He left his position in 2011, but returned in 2012 working for a total of about 15 years before he was fired on July 24, 2024. The suit alleges that throughout his tenure Riley performed his duties as outlined and exceeded the expectations of his position, and received raises, praise and excellent reviews for his work. In March 2020, as the Power and Light District and KC Live We're preparing for the Big 12 men's basketball tournament. COVID-19 struck. KC Live. Shut down and, the suit says, the demands of the job changed. It says Riley stayed on but was tasked with helping the district's management lay off crew, paring the maintenance, groundskeeping and housekeeping down to essential employees. He claims that, throughout his employment, he felt the district's maintenance, groundskeeping and housekeeping staffs were subjected to generalized lack of respect, empathy and/or fair treatment. The suit claims that while most of the district's administrators and corporate management were almost exclusively Caucasian, the staff making up maintenance, groundskeeping and housekeeping were almost entirely black or Hispanic. New hires for his staff, Riley alleges, were often unskilled or untrained. In 2022, work became more strenuous, he claims, when a co-worker with whom he shared facilities management duties died. After the death, Riley maintains that he was expected to assume both roles. In that same year, Riley notes that his direct supervisor was also terminated. That supervisor, the suit says, was replaced by a younger underqualified, Caucasian employee whom Riley, although in a subordinate position, was called on to train. When the district eventually rehired another facilities manager to replace the employee who died, the suit says the facilities manager, described in the court filing as a former bartender who was white, was believed to be a friend of one of the district's vice presidents. In any event, the suit says, the new facilities manager had virtually no job-related skills or training relevant to the facilities manager position. Nonetheless, the younger, less qualified worker was paid the same, or more than, Riley. Simply put, the suit alleges, from the time the new facilities manager was hired in 2022, and the end of the plaintiff's employment in 2024, the new facilities manager rarely performed any of the actual hands-on maintenance tasks associated with his role, and instead became a second, younger, Caucasian supervisor to Riley and his small, three-man, primarily African-American maintenance crew. Riley, the suit alleges, continually raised concerns that his workers were being overused and overworked largely because the other facilities manager was incapable of carrying his own weight, creating in Riley work-related anxiety and stress. In 2023, another maintenance employee, who was also white, was ultimately hired. Riley helped train the new employee, although, the suit says, Riley's crew warned him that he was likely training his new replacement. Riley in the suit maintains that in late 2023 he was called to a meeting with the district president who repeatedly asked Riley how long he expected to work and when he was thinking of retiring. Riley, the suit says, responded that Al thought he did not want to retire until age 70. The president pushed back, encouraging him to think about retiring earlier. Riley also used the meeting as an opportunity to complain about what he believed to be his own supervisor's preferential treatment of the new unqualified, Caucasian facilities manager. Then, in December 2023, the suit says, Riley fell and injured his knee, back and tailbone. He reported the injury and consulted a physician. A month later, in January 2024, knee surgery was recommended. Riley did not get it, but instead returned to work. He said he did, however, ask to use one of the facility's golf carts to help him travel around the 9-block Power and Light District. He claims he was denied use of a cart or a work truck and instead had to either walk or use his own vehicle. That December, the suit notes, members of the district's maintenance, housekeeping and groundskeeping crews, the majority of whom were black of Hispanic, the suit says, found out they were no longer invited to the annual holiday party. Holiday bonuses were also cut in half, Riley alleges, at a greater rate than the cuts for the predominantly white administrative and corporate staffs. Also in January, Riley alleges that his supervisor asked to meet with him to discuss Riley's future with the company. The supervisor allegedly revealed that he had heard that Riley had complained to the district's president about what he claimed to be unequal treatment of him. Riley claims he asked whether the new employee was hired to replace him. The supervisor, the suit claims, denied that as the only reason for the hire, but admitted the new hire was part of the district's long-term contingency plan, for when Riley retired. The supervisor again allegedly asked Riley when he planned to retire. For the next 7 months, Riley continued to work with ongoing pain, the suit says. It claims that the company did not provide him with any accommodations for his injury. On July 19, Riley says in the suit, he was in his underground office, seated at his desk and with his door closed when he lowered his trousers to his knees, with his boxer shorts on, to apply ointment to his knee. He claims that, without knocking, an employee entered. The employee was unable to see anything revealing. The suit says. One day later, July 20, 2024, Riley was attending a concert at KC Live. The suit claims that an accountant who worked for the district was also attending the concert and asked Riley if he could help her find some stools for her and her friend. He said he spoke to the manager of a KC Live bar who offered 2 stools. Soon after, Riley said, he received an email from a district vice president and a call from his supervisor asking him why he was at an event on his day off, and why he had taken the stools from a KC Live bar and allowed them to be used by the public. Riley said that when he explained that he had retrieved them for employees, he was told by the supervisor that if he did not immediately return the stools that the supervisor would have him arrested. Riley maintains he returned the stools. On July 22, Riley filed a formal complaint regarding what he considered to be the supervisor's belligerent and inappropriate treatment of him. 2 days later, on July 24, 2024, Riley was fired. He claims he had never been written up, suspended or subjected to any previous formal corporate discipline. The true reasons for the discriminatory and retaliatory employment actions of defendants against the plaintiff and all those who are similarly situated, the suit maintains, were illegal race, age and/or disability discrimination, and/or retaliation for protected activity including reports of discrimination, retaliation, and work injuries. These illegal actions were caused, aided, abetted, directed, incited, compelled and/or coerced by the defendants due to illegal discrimination and/or retaliation. In December, Riley filed a charge of race, color, age, sex discrimination and retaliation against Cordish with the Missouri Commission on Human Rights. On June 17, the commission issued a notice of right to sue to Riley, an administrative step before filing a lawsuit. The suit is seeking damages, claiming that Riley endured lost wages, lost fringe benefits, loss of earning capacity, loss of career opportunity, costs of seeking alternative income, pain and suffering, mental anguish, loss of enjoyment of life, humiliation, upset and other emotional distress, damage to his reputation, diminished job opportunities. Cordish, court documents show, has yet to file a response to the petition for damages.
Said damage to Mr. Riley's reputation. Like, system of white supremacy. If you are a privileged black male, like, I don't know how much of a reputation you can have. I mean, Obama. Anyway, worthless Negro from Virginia, Gus T, in for another broadcast, the context of white supremacy. Hopefully to share constructive information with non-white people victims of white supremacy, not intended for white people. Today's date, Thursday, September 18, 2025. So I have been told. This is our weekly forum, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. Not for spectators. We have lots of folks get excited to talk about TV and what they watched on Netflix and YouTube's and Hulu and all the other streaming platforms. Maybe even dusted the old VCR off. Say, ooh, you won't believe VHS collection I found. All well and good. What happens with regards to labor? You hear this week, folks getting fired left and right about Charlie Kirk? What is happening on the job? Way more important than what we watched on television. Not for spectators. Let us know. Are they chatting about Charlie Kirk on your job? You feeling humiliated? It damaged your reputation on your job? Let us know. 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. If you have figured out, hey, that's not you. I go to work, I never feel humiliated. I don't feel like my reputation has been damaged. In fact, I feel pretty good about myself. I'm safe. If I have safety concerns, they're taken seriously. I am compensated correctly. If I need medical assistance, I get it. I got all my company benefits and everything. They even send me an old tacky card, if I have to go in for any sort of stay or doctor's visit or miss a little time off, take a few days to get myself right as rain. They give me a little tacky card, basket of fruit and everything. If you have figured out how to get yourself in that position, let us know. How did you do this? What did you say? Avoid saying. How did you utilize policy and procedure? Let us know. Super dying for tips. Number again, 720-716-7300. V code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. Some of the audio segments that we heard at the beginning. Number one, the whole situation with Charlie Kirk, where apparently they say a number of white people and even non-white people are getting in trouble, maybe even losing employment regarding things that they have said about Charlie Kirk, things that they posted online or things that they said or whatever the case may be. We have said for years, and this goes all the way back to 2016 presidential election, January 6th, Jeffrey Epstein, Diddy. It's been all kinds, beg pardon, but it's been all kinds of events. Just system of white supremacy racism is something always happening. The stance is always using logic, counter-racist codification for labor. We're not talking politics, really anything not related to our workplace duties, our job. Not supposed to be talking about that. That's why I say, hey, we're not here. What you think gonna happen with the old baseball playoffs? Come on, man. College football season. Ooh. My child and got in trouble at school first week. Ooh. None of that. None of that. Let's just talk about the job. And I've said that way before we got to Charlie Kirk, because so frequently, once we start talking about things that don't have anything to do with the job, oh man, if white people are involved, it's going to get to racism so quick. And obviously with Charlie Kirk, immediately, milliseconds, and we're going to be at racism. I don't think anybody here, at least I haven't heard in the years we've been on the air, emails, people who've called in, maybe some of our spectators, I don't know. But I've never heard anyone who says, my job is to provide political commentary. I write or podcast or whatever it is, or maybe even get on television for a little while and talk about, news, events, report on news and events. Maybe I do a little investigating, traveling, who knows? I've never heard that from any of the non-white people, C.O.W.S listeners. If we got somebody in that group, I guess, okay, do what you do. You are paid to talk about Charlie Kirk and, what all is happening with this. Right on. Do your job. All the rest of us, if you are paid to deliver chicken wings, you do DoorDash, you have an office job, you work at the courthouse, you work at, light and power company. Nowhere in your job description is Charlie Kirk mentioned. Obama, any other form of political commentary. Now, I say all the time, I never tell victims of racism to be mute in the workplace. I don't. I say you should be talking about things so you can be more informed about your job, have a better understanding of your job. Maybe they got some training available for my all. It's so many things. Do they have another facility? We gonna get that bonus at the end of the day. They just talked about that. They didn't. We gonna get the same bonus. I mean, it's so many things. It's so many things related to your job, and in fact, it's so many things that we don't know about our job and the place that we work. We're not experts on that. That's should be the focus of like 98% of our dialogue. Let's talk about that so I can do my job better. Maybe keep this job a little longer. Get that raise. Make sure I get my bonus at the end of all of that good stuff. That's what I want. That's what we should be talking about. Like I said, not what did you watch on TV, what you think about old Charlie Kirk, that old no count old Beezy, Donald Trump, the ICE people, none of that. And I say this all the time. I wouldn't be talking about any of this with non-white people either, for a variety of reasons. Number one, just because they got a lot of melanin, that doesn't say that we're going to have the same political views. Just because this person is a victim of racism, non-white, that doesn't say that they're going to be, have counter-racist views or agree with you even, just because you are not white. And we're in the workplace. Even if they agreed 1,000% with everything you had to say about Charlie Kirk or any other subject matter, you all are not in the workplace alone. Just because Jamal agrees, Lakeisha agrees, that doesn't say that all the white people or even all the other non-white people who are ear hustling and in the cubicle next to you, that doesn't say that they are going to agree. And I say all the time, hey, you talking now in the workplace, you have to assume Alexa is on and recording, or whomever their watch or their phone or whatever. There's going to be a transcript. It's going to be available in 100 languages, including Braille, and it'll be available in PDF format for the next 200 years. If you're not okay with that, and because some of the people that have been getting in trouble about Charlie Kirk, not Cow's listeners, of course, some of these folks, they have been getting in trouble for things that they have posted online. Now, I've said for years, and again, thank the late Dr. Kamal Kamban. He said, 20 years ago, ahead of his time, not quite 20 years ago, about 15 years ago. About 15 years ago, Dr. Kamban, he said, hey, and he related it specifically to labor. He said, if you're trying to get a job, you're a young person out in your career and such, I would not be on social media. All you need, one of your coworkers or what have you, or even you're going through the interview process trying to get the job. And that's a part of what they call vetting. They go through and find your, TikTok or whatever. And what posted this? Go back and find stuff you posted when you were in high school, 10 years ago or something of that nature. And can you see what they did? Oh, so I would not be on any of that. If you have social media, I would not have it under your legal name, and then I would not be so-called friends connected to people that you work with. Like I would not, my person in the cubicle next to me, we're not going to be TikTok pals, Facebook pals, anything else. And that would be the case even if they are not white. And it's because, let's say I went on today and I post, Charlie Kirk is a race soldier. I got the receipts, and good riddance. I don't shed no tears, mourn the passing of no race soldiers. Let's say I get on, I post that on my page today. Boom. Let's say the non-white person in the cubicle next to me, we're friends, and they're codified. We talk about Neely Fuller Jr. and everything. They see that post that I wrote, and they love it. Boop. But they are social media friends with a white person in the workplace. The white person can seize the post that they like and say, like, what? Do what? Wrote what? And Gus said what about? And it just goes from there. And I mean, it can be so many different ways, but I would not be on social media and you're just posting whatever. And then people on your job, because I mean, it's been a lot of that this week, and even with many other events. With the election, it happens every election cycle, or they have one of those police shootings or whatever the case may be. Even if you work with all non-white people, I would not be promoting, advertising just because we worked together and got along for 2 months or so. Oh, your social media, let's If they're that constructive, you can let me get your number. Okay, you can text and all that good stuff. Great. We do not need to be. I mean, that is. Oof. I would not recommend. And you can explain that exact reasoning. You would have to have extraordinary rapport and trust that this person. Hey, do you have white friends? In the social media sphere and or in real life, literally, do you have white friends? I don't know if I can share my social media with them. Man, yeah, man, that's can be trouble. At any rate, with the whole Charlie Kirk situation, if other people ask you about it or bring it up in the workplace, you can just tell, hey, the short line, I don't discuss politics in the workplace. That always works. And this one, I could even be truthful. You know, I hadn't even heard of this guy until the shooting happened in Utah. So, yeah, I don't even know enough about the dude to be doing no talking. Now, you could say that even if you did know his whole history. And, oh, wow, this guy's maybe I do think this guy's a racial agenda. And even then, I'm not going into all that. I don't even know enough about it to say anything. You know, it's terrible murder and all that, but yeah, I don't even know enough about the dude that killed him. They try to go that route, or Mr. Kirk himself. So yeah, other than they're white, but I probably wouldn't even, you're not gonna get me into none of it. Let's stick to because Mr. Kirk, the suspected shooter, none of it. Utah, that ain't got nothing to do with the promotion I'm trying to get on my job. Let us know. Has Charlie Kirk, has it come up on your job? People been trying to needle you and ask you about it. What you thinking? Either way, they upset about it, or they're mad about it, or happy about it, whatever. White people, non-white people, they've been trying to nudge you, see what you think about all this. Or if they're got the TV on so that other people are talking about all this, or talk radio so they're hearing other people call in and yap about that all day long. You can listen, take notes. You don't have commentary. That's not what you paid for. Let's see. The report about the ICE raid in Georgia, and they said they were concerned about, relationships with South Korea. So, oh man, they might see this. What in the world? We put in all this time and energy, and they even said the hypocrisy. Well, they didn't use that term, but they said, man, it's put white Republicans in Georgia, it's put them in kind of a pickle, as they say, because they were the first ones to jump up and down and right on, get these immigrants out of here, and got these rapists hopping the board, and dark people ain't supposed to. And then they said they didn't put in all this effort because, and even this on the sneak, I think is white genetic annihilation, because I don't think they would be going all the way to South Korea to get these dark people to come over here and work in the factories in Georgia and such if they had white people who were right there in Savannah, Forsyth, who could do these jobs. I think it's got to be the same thing we've heard before. They don't have enough white people to do these jobs. So they got to go all the way to the other side of the world to get some dark people to come and work in the factory. This one I'm even thinking, so you sure it's no dark people right there, I don't know, got a degree at Georgia Tech, they couldn't come work in the factory, or just dark people live in the Atlanta area, didn't get to go to Georgia Tech, Emory, Clark, Morehouse. They couldn't, use a factory that you couldn't find enough Leroys to fill out these jobs. Really? Okay, no worries. Anyway, but they say they concerned that these ICE raids that white people, yeah, right on, get running in and dance. Oh, wait a minute, you're going to upset the South Koreans. When all the things that white people do, bashing black people over the head and everything, are they worried like, oh man, such and such is going to be mad how we done messed over Leroy? Black get back. They say they concerned. Now, in my view, this is the type of thing that I point to when I say that white people, they lie all the time. Fuller pointed this out about the so-called immigrant issue specifically, that they will come out and lie. It'll be the same white people who come out, we need to get these folks out of here, and they're breaking the law, and they're illegal aliens, and they're not supposed to be here, and we're going to enforce that border. Same white people will then come out and say, oh, wait a minute, now we do need the Asian folks at the factory. Now, any other time, these same white people, slant-eyed Japs, they're not Japanese, they're Korean, or whatever, you slant-eyed slopes, but we need them at the factory. Which is it? You going to practice racism? You don't want the people hopping the border, be here illegally? You going to cheer the ICE raids? Or white genetic annihilation? You need somebody in the factory, even if it's going to be dark people. Which is it? They do the same thing with the produce pick, non-white people. Do you want the dark people here to get the lettuce, pick the strawberries? Or do you want the ICE raid? Get out of here, Gomez. Which is it? Same white people doing both. Master deceiver, the hypocrisy of it all. That's what Fuller talked about, that playing both sides of the fence. Like, come on, man. Come on. If you were that concerned about your ties to South Korea, you thought about all this in advance. Someone should have at least nudged you before you get too excited about the ICE raids. Like, well, maybe ICE raids except for the South Koreans. You could even do your throwback. Say, we'll make them honorary white. So it'll just be the rest of these dark folks that we, get on out of here. Anywho, let's see. They had the report about females leaving the workforce. Now, that's one of those, for years I've said, when they get to talking about women, same way when they talk about the man, they mean white women. Now, I don't know. We have mommies, females, even some daughters in there who they have commented on their work experience. I don't really remember hearing from too many people, moms I'm talking about, well, not moms, I'm going to say, females, non-white females, and not necessarily moms. I don't remember hearing from too many non-white females. I'm going to go back since COVID, 2020. I don't really remember hearing lots of non-white females saying, I'm leaving the workplace. It's too stressful or whatever the case. And I'm the only person I can even think of, non-white female I can think of, is Dr. Vanessa Grubbs. She's a nephrologist. Remember the exact title, nephrologist. And we spoke with her during COVID-19 specifically at the beginning of it all. And she said, oh, no, I'm getting out of the hospital. This is absurd. They don't have equipment, and it's all stressful. And, oh, no, I'm not doing it. That's the end. She said, I have other things I can work on. I'm married, take care of my husband, take care of myself. I don't think she has offspring. I could be totally incorrect about that, but I don't think Dr. Grubbs has offspring. If I'm wrong, my apologies. I'm ignorant. But yeah, she says, I'm focusing on me and doing my other work, and I got my scholarship to work on, and I'm smart. I went to grad school, med school, doctor, physician, all that good stuff. So lots of things to work on. I don't need to subject myself to all that stress. That's like the only person that I can think of who, I don't remember any of our non-white listeners, non-white females specifically, at any point over the last 5 years saying, I'm cutting out. of the workforce. I'm going to focus on being a mom, focus on, growing my own business, focus on, remodeling my house, focus on taking care of a sick relative. I don't remember any of that. I could be totally wrong. Maybe we have spectators who just have not shared, but I suspect they could be talking about white women leaving the workforce for whatever reason, work on themselves, work on their career. I remember hearing some of that during COVID-19, and I thought the same thing then, that it was not non-white females, it was probably disproportionately white women leaving to go do other things. In fact, I would even contrast, we just heard that report about the skyrocketing unemployment numbers for black females specifically. So that would lead me to think, if it is black females leaving the workforce, it's not a voluntary thing, where I just want to go and, take a sabbatical for a year or so and think about life, maybe write a book about my workplace racism experience. I don't know. And then the last report that we heard, Mr. Riley in the KC, Kansas area, although it's right next door to Missouri, so all the same thing kind of, where it was so many of the common labor cliches. They fired someone and they took those workplace duties, which did not include talking about politics, and they dumped that on Mr. Riley, black male. I think they said he was in his 60s, because they said they thought this was racism and ageism. They said that they would get white people who had less training, less experience, were less competent. They even got my favorite ism, in addition to racism, cronyism, the nepotism, white cronyism and white nepotism, where they get all their homies and friends they went to kindergarten with, and folks they were in college fraternities and sororities with, and my nephew and son-in-law and all this old nonsense, and folks they barely literate, drinking problem and all the rest of them. They bring them in, get them a job, halfway trained, whatever the case may be. They get equal wages or triple the wages that Mr. Riley was getting, and they can't even do the job. Standard operating procedure all over the world. Said he was friends of one of the supervisors. See, you got that sort of thing is so wise, man. Then they'll sit around and talk about, we don't want no DEI, so-called. We don't want no affirmative action, getting these no-count unqualified niggers coming here and work the job. Man, the queens and king, well, one, the queens and kings of affirmative action are white. The queens and kings of getting jobs when you are not qualified are also white. Sometimes they get those jobs via affirmative action. Talking about white people, talking about white people, talking about white people. But they said, yeah, Mr. Riley, who's again in his 60s, privileged black male. So they're working at this massive light fire utility facility in the Kansas City area. And they said it's like 9 city blocks. Like, man, that's kind of large, right? And so they said, Mr. Riley, he's older. They said he has knee issues. And I guess the doctor at one point, they told him he was going to need surgery. And he didn't get it. He thought, I'll tough do it, blah, 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 blah. Medical apartheid reminded me of that exactly, because they have a example in that book of a black male. He had some sort of leg issue and it wasn't corrected, and they experimented on him. I forgot, they experimented on him. He injured his leg at work, and the doctor's racist. They experimented on him, and he told his black family that, I think those doctors did something to me and my leg has never been the same. And I really think I think he might have even suspected that they had done some sort of test or what have you on him. His black family didn't believe him, including his wife. intimately detailed in the book, and then come to find out he was correct, although they didn't find out until after he's died. So then his family had the added tragedy of guilt, like, man, we didn't even believe him. We told him he was, making up stuff. Anyway, but all that medical apartheid, enormously important book. But it reminded me of Mr. Riley saying he has this knee problem and he didn't get the proper treatment, so he's, still trying to stick on the job. They might have tried to even fire him for that. I've heard some people where if you are classified as black, that'll be medical reasoning, like, oh, you didn't pass the physical, you couldn't, this job requires you to be able to handle some strenuous activity, and so you got that knee problem, or you got hypertension, or you got the Negro diabetes, or whatever it is. But that is very common. I've heard that with black people specifically, and there are even some reports where they'll try and manufacture these medical excuses to get rid of black people specifically. But anyway, so he's got this knee problem, and he's thinking they got this massive non-block facility. Maybe I can get me one of them little golf carts and ride around. Now, I've seen that. Other large facilities for people who do not have any sort of disability or physical ailment, it's 9 blocks. Who wants to do that? Hey, time is money. We might have to walk up and down and go between these 9 blocks all day long. Forget that. Even if I am fit and fast and all the rest of it, we're going to hop on this golf cart and so we can be running up and down here and get this done, man. Nah, Leroy. Nope, no golf cart for you. In fact, like I said, that might be justification. We got to let you go because you can't hand up. You gotten old and decrepit, see. Got to have young, spry folks who can walk a little bit for this job. They said that the black people are part of this suit. They're saying it's racism. They said that the non-white employees exclusively were no longer invited to the annual holiday party. I had to pause on that one. We closing in on holiday season, so-called, too. Man, I don't know. Now, if this is one of those, it's going to be consequences that we just haven't thought out yet type of a thing. Okay. And I mean, certainly it's racism. If you normally have it and everybody's supposed to be there and have a good time, we do gifts, whatever the case may be. And now just strangely, the niggers are not invited. But man, I didn't want to go no way. Now, if them saying, because they said in addition to niggers no longer invited to the holiday party, now they can tell all the racist Christmas jokes they want. They said that they cut the bonuses. Is that related to the holiday party? Since the niggers have been disinvited from the party, you don't get no bonus no more. Or we cut it in half. We make it real small. Man, come on. Come on. And then that might even be another one. Come to find out now, did everybody's bonus get chopped in half or whatever? Or was that one with just the niggers got a little teeny bonus now, and everybody else, they still get the obese end of year bonus? And that, man, I know some people, if you work public sector or you work other jobs where maybe they don't do end of year bonus. Gus T in that boat. For some people, those bonuses are massive. You easily sometimes could be talking hundreds of dollars. For some people, you could be talking thousands of dollars or even $1,000 easily, depending on, how much seniority you have, how long you've been working there, how important you are at the company and all of that. But I mean, some folks, they get really sizable bonuses at the end of the year that, can sometimes make up for some of the shabby treatment or undercompensation they experience. So then find out, oh, no, we not, nah. Or it's going to be way less than what it was. Got skiing trip planned for our white board members. Can't be giving y'all all these nickels this time. Does not get any better than tacky. And for Mr. Riley specifically, now how tacky did it get? We almost got Friday tacky. Shout to O'Shea Jackson. How you get fired on your day off? They said Black Brother Riley was stealing stools on his day off. I've never even cardboard boxes for sure. Stools? What do you like, bar stool? Like, what do you mean? The Negro was stealing stools on his day off. Man. And I can't even, because he was getting the stools, they said in the report, they said he was getting the stools for a coworker. I know this couldn't have been a white woman. This was an audio, really it was a written report, and then we had the audio narration, but I don't know if this was a white female or non-white female, if he was just trying to be a gentleman and a courteous colleague, and, oh, did they have, chair? Oh, sure, I'll go get a chair. He goes, gets the chair, and then they accuse you of stealing stools. Man. Like, and it even seemed like they thought something was afoot, something sinister was afoot. Like, what are you even doing here? You have to know, you trying to rape? What's like, dang, I just came for the KC Live event. What? It seemed like they had some sort of public, I don't know if it's a concert or people come and talk, poetry, whatever, but it seemed like a public event. And he's there, other people are there, other people who even work at this, at the light district utility company were present, and just Mr. Riley, where this was an issue. They even included Mr. Riley, black male. He said he went to the restroom because he got that knee problem, and he went to put the ointment on his knee, and he said that they burst in, and I guess he was in the restroom, and they burst in and looked, oh. They went back out. Like, I didn't know if he was going to be accused of he's raping or whatever the case may be, or if that's just a part of the general tackiness that we don't even have to be decent, respect your privacy. Like, oh, he might be changing his clothes, or indecent for a moment. Like, whatever. Nigga, open the door. Let me see what's going on. I mean, wow. I don't know that I've heard that one on neutralizing workplace racism before, where you can't even go to the restroom without having people barge in on you. I don't even know if that was a female or a male who barged in on him like that, but wow. I mean, man, I don't know. I guess in the workplace, I think I've said have no expectation of privacy in the workplace, but I meant more like a private conversation. Like if you're talking to somebody else, it's going to be public. In no sense was I thinking, when you go to the lavatory, don't you think about that was not in my brain computer at all. Maybe it should be. When you go to the restroom, I guess at minimum, make sure your stall is locked. And then if it's a single occupancy lavatory, lock that door. I just never thought of, such a thing. He wasn't even, using the restroom in a sense. He was, trying to take care of his knee, but still, like, what? Dang. Like, if you're in the lactation room, same thing. Latch the door. I guess, yeah, do not have an expectation of folks being courteous, decent, knock. They didn't even say if they knock. You all right in there, Riley? You've been in there a while. You okay? They didn't even say like they just barged in. Like, what are you doing in there? You smoking crack? You raping? What's going on? What's it? Okay then. Don't you steal that toilet paper. Got my eye on you. That one more time now. That's why I said in the tackiest sense. He could have been, literally on the toilet, on the stool, anything. And hey, when you're in the workplace, all eyes on you. Literally, even when you go to the John, they call it across the pond. They say the loo. Even when you go to the loo, all eyes on you because they think we're going to steal the toilet paper. See. Any woodles. Let's see. Email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943. Pound, press star 61 if you would like to participate. So for sure, has Charlie Kirk come up on your job? Let us know. Have they been trying to like needle you? What you think about it? What you think about it? You've been seeing Charlie Kirk? You think Charlie Kirk's a racist? Anything like that, they try and provoke you into something, see if they can get you fired. Let us know if Charlie Kirk has come up in the workplace. And then I guess, is that the first time y'all have heard of that? Like a non-white, male or female, non-white person in the workplace, and they're in the restroom and bow, they burst in the stall and like, what do you? I mean, I'm just, normally it's rare for me to hear something related to the workplace where I'm like, no, I ain't never heard all the stuff that we heard at the beginning. ICE, I've heard that before. Females leaving the workplace, I've heard that before. White cronyism, I've heard that before. I ain't never heard. Lakeisha was in the bathroom and they birthed, what you doing in there? I ain't never heard that before. Like, whoa. Have y'all heard that before? Black people can't even go. I can remember black people not being allowed to use the bathroom. We have talked about that before in detail, but like not actually, I got to burst in on you in the stall. Like, whoa, that is, man, learn something new every day. All right. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, you have commentary to share. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is non. Oh, sorry. I'll hold off.
Appreciate. Greetings, guests. Greetings, callers. Basically, the segment I wanted to talk about first off was the segment about soft skills. I think that is extremely important when it comes to dealing with people, especially as a non-white male. Mainly when you work in corporate offices, there's a physical intimidation factor. I think that takes place when you walk around the office as a black male. There's something going on there that they're definitely looking at you and observing you. Like you stated earlier, there are definitely eyes on you, and you have to be aware of that. And many of these white people and some non-white people are not used to being around black males, so your interaction with them has to be very calculated almost. You should study them. You should ask them questions. Pay attention to their body language even when you're addressing them. See if they can even look you in the eye for even a small amount of time. And see how they act in your presence overall. And it means a lot if you could kind of like really get an understanding of who you're dealing with in these spaces, because you will be judged by that 110%, sometimes more than what you actually do working wise. Because if they see that you're functioning like you could do the job, you may not know everything, they'll be willing to work with you knowing that you're open to learning and you're asking questions and you're engaged with them, and there's a level of respect. What's tricky though is that space of respect and being taken as somebody that might be, for lack of a better word, like soft. Like if they think they could say or do anything around you and maybe degrade you in front of other people, they'll do it if they're that type of person, which would obviously follow some writing up that you may need to do, and also pulling that person to the side if you can, or pulling another person that's higher in to address that issue. So I do think the soft skill sets are extremely important in working place environments, especially corporate areas. Like I said, there's so many issues that I've seen in the past with that. the other segment in regards to Riley, I think it's just like standard racism in the office. Like it just sounds like standard white supremacy, just all the tacky same old things, bringing the friends in that are not qualified, paying them more, they do less work, the burden falls on you, then your body breaks down and you get sick, and they don't care. They're just looking for a way to get rid of you. I've seen this and heard this. My father, for instance, worked as a mechanic, and I could tell when he neared the later end of the end of his career, there was a sense of not feeling worthy, so to speak, or worth anything because he wasn't working to the same level that he wanted to. And sure enough, as he reached a certain point, he was let go from the company. And I think that did a lot of damage to his ego, a lot of damage to his pride. But I did start to understand it later on, especially reading some work. There was an article that Dr. Tommy J. Curry actually put out a while ago. It was called "This Nigga's Broken." I don't know if you could find it online. You could probably find it by doing some digging. It'll pop up. But it definitely discusses what we're talking about now with this gentleman Riley and countless other non-white people that have been unfortunately injured or hurt at some point and just get let go from their job. In my field, technology, I did have an interaction. I do work remotely for the most part, but even that, I can't avoid the racism. And I say that to say, when the Charlie Kirk incident occurred, what happened was somebody in a chat, our team chat, and I mean a chat with over 50 people in it, he just dialed in and said, "Oh my God, Charlie Kirk's being shot. This political violence is going too far. We got to stop this violence, blah, blah, blah," and all this other shit, pardon my language, and all this other stuff. And then somebody else chimed in and said, "Oh, we got to get the guns out of people's hands. It's the guns, it's the blah, blah, blah." And after the second person commented, and I didn't see any commentary from directors or managers who are in that chat, I went straight into it and I said, "Can we please not discuss politics on this platform? I do not think it is appropriate to discuss this, with all respect due." And within a minute or so, the director, the head of the department, responded and said, "Agreed, please use this chat only for discussing business purposes." And countless people, all of a sudden, directors and managers chimed in and checked off and agreed with my commentary. And the director, the head of the department, messaged me on the side and said, "Thank you for, quote unquote, putting that out there and stating that." And I said, "No, it's not a problem. I appreciate the fact that you backed me up in the process." And afterwards, a few non-white people messaged me and said, "Thank you. Appreciate you, making sure that we stay off of politics and we don't get into these deep, conversations in regards to anything political." So that was the Charlie Kirk incident that I had at my office. All being well, I'm studying, working on another certification, but also trying to figure out different avenues of working remotely and possibly in another country, because quite frankly, I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm not sure at all. I don't know if this is going to last a year, some of the things that are going on right now. But I'm interested to see how things progress, and I'll keep studying and seeing what's going on. With that said, I'll mute my line. Thank you.
Well, just to be precise, so I understand, you say you don't know how much long, if this is going to last another year. Like, do you mean your job or the so-called country, or what do you think might not be with us this time next September?
I question I work at a non-for-profit, it's a major hospital, but it's a possibility that the funding for this may be cut, and my job may be in jeopardy. But also, I also do question whether the so-called stability of the country is going to be even around next year. I don't really know how that's going to work. I'm located in the metropolitan area in New York City, so I almost get the idea that New York City is one of like the grandstanding places for this regime to attack. And attacking it first would be a financial decision first. It wouldn't be, at least maybe I could be incorrect. It could be troops just like National Guard in D.C., but I see them making a financial cut first. I mean, that's what I would do. Just my perspective.
Fascinating. That right there is why I say we are so uninformed about our job and the place that we work. That's why we cannot be here on the chat. Oh, Lord, did you see what happened to Brother Charlie? Oh, Lord, ain't it terrible? Oh, we got to get... Man, we might not have a job next year. What they got to do with Charlie Kirk? Get back. Stay on topic, man. That's why I said, be alert. That's why I keep that resume up to date. That's the sort of thing that you want to be alert and paying attention to in the workplace. Like, dang, you think this place could be gone? Man, saving my nickels, prepping. Okay. Don't know if this sucker is going to be here in 2027. That's when we get the Suclebo files, but okay. Have to be making alternative plans in case might not be here in 2027. This company, we mean. Wow. Additionally, now that makes sure I can performed like a codified victim of racism, cow's listener. They get out there, talk Charlie Kirk and guns. Hey. Can we please not use the chat for politics, and even that staying in the question lane? Now he said, I thought tacky, he said the CEO, I suspect white, yes, let's only use the chat for business. He should have been the one, not you. I got the big paycheck. I'm in charge. I'm the man. I'm supposed to be the one. Hey, hush all that up. That's not even what we came here to talk about. Get back to, but that's not what I'm paying you all for. Get back to business. Leroy over here got to be leading the charge, getting folks to, and even I would wonder now, who is it in here talking about all this? Because he said some of the black people came up and said, black brother, thank you. And he didn't get in there. And Charlie Kirk is a racist. What do you do? He didn't do that. All he said, hey, question, can we please utilize the chat for business purposes? Thank you. Or can we please not utilize the chat for political discussion? Thank you. Question. Brilliant. Like I said, that should be the approach, even if it had been all black people, which I guess it could have been, online. I don't know. But it could have been all non-white people. Same thing. All your relatives, same thing. We at work, same thing. We came to talk. Let's stay on topic. We're not being paid to discuss Charlie Kirk. Even if it was either, wasn't he a racist? Hey. Let's not use the chat for politics, please. Thank you. And dare I say, this might be a part of what they call soft skills, maybe. How you function and speak in a workplace, because that's right at the crux of having some decorum, how you professionalism, how you speak. What say all the time. Me and my sick white brother at the courthouse in Florida, we are unprofessional and we do not know how to talk to people. Our soft skills are lacking. Even knowing how to avoid conflict, that might be in the soft skills. Great. Minimizing conflict, and we're not wasting time. Have us driven. We didn't come in here to have no the gun dialogue. That's not what we came on the, like, come on. Let's see. Much obliged. And the pride, he mentioned the report from, we got that 2 times. The expect to have your pride wounded in the system of white supremacy racism. Probably many times. Especially, you can add more minis the longer you live. It'll just be over and over. And matter of fact, we get to hear this again tomorrow. We'll hear more black males talking about their wounded Negro male pride. And in fact, Susan Smith, white woman that blamed Leroy for stealing her children and stealing her car. They got black brothers in South Carolina came on and did interviews and said, the police, they came on my job, questioned me about stealing these white boys. I felt right bad. It was right humiliating. Have them take me off my job to question me about these stolen white boys. Wound your pride a little bit. Have all your coworkers thinking you done carjacked a white woman. Black male privilege. Anyway, yes, the report from Dr. Curry, this nigger's broken hypermasculinity, the buck and the role of physical disability in white anxiety toward the black male body. This is so old. We talked about this on the C.O.W.S, 2017. Really oldie by this point, almost a decade. Any of that, that's Mr. Riley, because he said my knee hurts, and I just wanted a little golf cart so I could. You didn't get no golf cart. And then they burst in on him in the lavatory. He was trying to put ointment on his knee, so he had his pants down. They said, "Ooh, we burst him. Let me see your penis." Oh. Black male didn't tell us nothing about the bathroom incident, so I'll assume he didn't have no episodes or experiences with race soldiers terrorizing him in the restroom. Our other privileged black brother who spoke up simultaneously, thank you for your patience. Proceed.
No worries. And I do have I do understand what the previous caller said about he'll see what happens in a year. A friend of mine has said through the years, like this past election cycle, he didn't even want to be in the state of South Carolina. We were out golfing this past Sunday, and he ran into a white woman who he's worked with, and her husband was with him, and they had a side conversation. And one of the things they talked about, even white people are saying this, they do not want to be in the state of South Carolina. A lot of worries here, I guess. Let's see. Personally, I heard of Charlie Kirk before he was killed, but not too much about him. Didn't think too much about him, and then when he got killed, then I started hearing about all the things that he said through the years, and he said what he said. Let's see. The last time someone came into the lavatory or stall while I was in there, it was when I was in elementary school. Kids being brain damaged, things like that. They'll not act sometimes. Let's see. Mama C has left the workforce to look after Double O Dimples, though she works a work-from-home job for a doula business. Let's see. The Secretary of War has unveiled a new clean-shaven grooming standard this week. Black males may have a harder time in the military due to razor bumps. As I look around my workplace, I see. On to the next story. As I look around my workplace, I see people getting promoted to positions that were not positions before, truly forcing me to reflect on my attempts to go for promotions and being told that I don't qualify, or being told that other people are better have a better personality fit to lead the department. I guess my soft skills suck. To me, soft skills come off as a euphemism for make white people feel comfortable. Earlier this week, I had a conversation with another planner in another division. We discussed our experiences with all the different planning directors through our years with the organization. Some of the planning directors have been bullies. I talked to her about standing up to directors when they do something rude, inappropriate, or disrespectful. She said it's different for her as a female, though she is white, to stand up for herself than it is for me as a male. Still, I'm black. She said that because I'm male, people are more scared of me. Scared of me. I wonder why. In the moment she said that, I couldn't help but to think that when I got called into the administrator's office, a black female, to be told that I interviewed well, but people have a hard time reading me, the phrase fear of a black male rings in my head. When I put all these things together, it's a tacit reminder of how white supremacy plays out. You work hard and do as you're told, but I'm still just a scary black male. At the county where I work, two EMS workers were fired from the fire department because of their post on the killing of Charlie Kirk. What's amazing about this is that the article that talked about it said that one of the elected officials, a county councilman, brought it to the attention of the acting county administrator. Multiple elected officials in the state of South Carolina have been working overtime scrubbing people's personal social media and reporting those people to their employers. Some people are easily fired, more easily fired if they work for work in the public sector. But there are people who work in the private sector who are making posts about Charlie Kirk as well. And in all situations, elected officials are looking for ways to get these people fired as well. One example of this is a teacher who works in a private Christian college in one of the surrounding counties. A state senator said, though it's a bit harder to get someone fired from a private institution, one of the things that we can do is that we can make it so that the college is unable to benefit from the federal funds that help people pay for college. And they could use that as a way for incentivizing the college to fire the professor who said what they said about Charlie Kirk. And, you know, it's very interesting. The way people are talking, it reminds me of McCarthyism back in the 70s, but to me it comes up as straight fascism. I believe in the code book or the word book, you know, Leland Fuller would probably say fascism is just another tool of white supremacy. But at least in this context, I also think that this is one of those ways that we can clearly see white people are getting more extreme or more outwardly expressive of what they really think and how they really perceive the world and how they run the world. And then on a side note, my wife said to say apparently Nigeria has added Mandarin Chinese, the language, to the Nigerian school curriculum. I guess that's interesting because, you know, at least I'm not sure most people pay attention to the African continent. They are starting to make more inroads in partnerships with other countries that are not Western nations like Europe and America. They're getting more relationships and doing more things with other Asian countries like China and stuff, and maybe this is undermining white supremacy in some way because people are trying to make relationships that are outside of white power. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Well, much obliged, non-Clemson dad. Congrats to Mama C. She's not in the workforce even, or she. Hey, there we go. That's right in line with the report. Females say I'm getting out of the workforce. I'm focusing on other things, focusing on double O dimple. So right on time, non-white mommy doing other things. Congrats to her. Let's see. The grooming standards for the folks in the military, I did see that report, which is interesting because they have so many reports talking about how and that's labor too. That's a career in the military. That's a job, even if it's short, for 2 or 3 years. But they've had so many reports talking about how they have missed their target, direct pun intended, where they don't have enough recruits. Why would you be, and they recruit niggers, why would there be anything to make it more difficult or make people want, I don't want to do the military because I have to lose my cornrows, or y'all gonna make me shave and I get razor bumps, and I mean that they even, in fact, for the shaving component for privileged black males, that has been included in a lot of the so-called Crown Acts, where they say you can't fire people and mess them over on jobs or not hire them because they have Negro hair. That beard has been included. No count Opalaka 3, retired firefighter, and the lip beard came up with the fire department too. So they'll do the same thing, have those grooming standards where you got to be so-called clean shaven, and for lots of black males get razor bumps really bad and skin irritation and all that, so they just don't do the so-called clean shaven. Even retired firefighters say you got the lip beard, say, oh no, you got to cut all that off, and they get ready to fire black dudes from the fire department because they got a lip beard, which literally might be like 6 hairs growing beneath your bottom lip. Like, oh, no, that's not clean shaven. Gotta go, Leroy. Beat it. System of white supremacy, racism. That it's years of this. I forgot we had talked about this with Bill Russell. They were about to make that a rule for his NBA job. Can't have that. We don't do that, Bill. You out here blocking shots and stuff, making us white people feel bad, so you gotta shave. Let's see. He said that they were inventing positions for white people on his job, and inventing positions so that they could get a promotion. Well, they could do that for the niggers, yes. Invent, new title, new position, whatever they can. And from what he had told us previously, it seems inventing positions to hire white people who aren't even very qualified, which is what we had already heard. And he said he reflected on his own experience with you interview so well and shown initiative and all the rest of it. I don't know. We have a hard time reading you. Almost sound like you're illiterate. Make up some old nonsense metaphor. They don't have a hard time reading the unqualified white people that they just fabricate a position. We don't have a hard time reading them. Black male privilege. And then he said he thought soft skills, that sounds like just getting along with white people. So that's why they think of you as the office contagion. See, remember that they thought of him that way before COVID-19. See, and he said they haven't burst in on him in the lavatory since elementary school. Said, man, I do remember that white woman, he called himself in there doing yoga. And the white woman came and said, what? Leroy, he got in here doing yoga, half naked? Oh, Lord. And she ran and said, he about to rape us all. Oh, Lord. That's not quite the lavatory, but no expectation of privacy in the workplace. Let's see. And he said they scared. He said the white woman, she said, it's a little different for you, see. Non-Clemson dad, a little different for you. Speaking up for yourself, see, because you are a privileged black man. I am a white woman. What's the difference? So, well, see, you are scary. You say, ooh. Look at non-Clemson dad. Ooh, he'll rape us all. Ooh. So I just told you, the white woman, she came to the office. He called herself doing yoga, prepping to rape. And she said, oh, my Lord. Ah! And she was scared. See? Now, even that, if it wasn't like I'm valedictorian, I'm a parent. Nah, scary raping nigger. Me being scary, it doesn't mean We got to fix non-Clemson dad's computer first. He will, kill us and rape our children, and oh my God, punishment will be severe if we don't take it. That's not what happens. You get even more, like, that's strange. Normally when people are fearful of you, they make sure to do right by you. That's not what they do to black people that they are allegedly fearful of. Scary black person, we just gonna mistreat you more. Contagion, and call you names too. Like, dang, if you scared, why you name people that you're afraid of? Sir. No, sir. Mm-mm. That's what I would think if I was afraid, like he might sock me or do anything. No. The scary black person, we just gonna mistreat you even more. Please. Let's see. And the EMS workers. He said, in fact, they are looking to snitch on people. If I heard that correctly, he said that they got whole armies of people that just scrubbing social media accounts and ratting people out. Uh-oh, Bob said. Did you see what Bob said? Oh, yeah, got it right there. Screenshot. Boop, boop. Dr. Kanban right there in the Carolinas, he said, get off of social media. It certainly should not be in your government name, shouldn't be connected. People that you work with, for their purposes, they should think, I deleted all my social media accounts ages ago. Elementary school. Inactive. Haven't used them in eons. Don't even remember the password. That should be their understanding of your social media use and history. Now, I do encourage, that could be one, investigate your other non-white people. If they have social media, white people, check out and see what they're posting. Might be some of the white people that you think are not racist. Maybe their social media posts would confirm that. Maybe not. But you don't be on social media posting about Charlie Kirk. Like, whew, man. He said they got a whole army. I could believe that, though. He said they got a whole army of people on there scrubbing. Delete, boop, boop. Get this person fired. Get the snitching. You're not even supposed to be doing snitching. He said they got people snitching. Looking to rat in my. I wanted to get this person fired for the last 10 years anyway. Here's my chance. See what they say about old Charlie? I am aware there are some very vindictive white people in the workplace, like out of this world vindictive. So that doesn't surprise, to some extent, that does not surprise me. But I mean, dang, it's supposed to be white people all about no snitching. Oh no, we snitching about some Charlie Kirk. See if we can get you out of here. Man, no politics in the workplace. Woo. Much obliged, non-Clemson dad. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Email untiljustice@gmail.com. Other folks dialed in, if you have commentary to share, if we missed you totally, proceed.
Greetings, everyone.
Retired firefighter in Florida.
Yes, sir. The past co-worker that with the lip beard situation, he, if I didn't mention it already on the program, he actually resisted and fought back, and eventually the fire department had to okay the acceptance of something called a lip beard. But I want to share a observation that I would identify as pretty healthy, constructive with the job that I retired from in 2008, I think. The job is a difficult job to get hired on. There has been 3 past coworkers who, for a couple of years, who have been assisting young people into getting the job, not necessarily in just Miami-Dade County, but the entire state of Florida. I guess basically the test is the same for anybody who wants to get on with a county fire department in the state of Florida. It's the same. And what they have been doing, they have been assisting young people by organizing and having them to come in to different areas to take practice written tests, and also practice on the physical test. The reason why I'm reporting it now is because at the community center where I work out sometimes, and I happened to be yesterday in my yoga class, and I ran into a couple of them. They actually was having a practice test in that community center in one of the lecture rooms. Maybe about I would say 20 to 30 young people were in this classroom-like setting, taking a practice written test. They've been doing this all over Dade County. What has to be said is that they're not representing the fire department or anybody's fire department at all, because, without saying that, it would be some kind of problem that would exist, because the fire department certainly would not go along with what they're doing. But anyway, and I sat in on while they were taking the test. Now, one of the leaders of this effort, she really lays the truth down to these young people about what they have to be prepared for, such as being on time. Matter of fact, she turns away people that do not show up to her practice test on time. Also, there is a dress rule that goes along with it, because they're going to have the same thing with the real testing. And in other words, she gives the description, and then it's up to that person to endorse that and show accordingly that they have heard it, because they would show up, with a shirt and tie on, if it's a male, or what they call business clothing, that sort of thing. And I was just sitting there, just really impressed about what they were doing, in there, because a lot of and the test is broken down. The test is broken down into math. Is an oral portion in the test that she warns everybody, if you can't hear it real well, raise your hand and state that you can't hear it real well, because if not, then they're just going to act like that everything is fine, and you would get behind very, very quickly in an oral situation. So the best for you to raise your hand and state that you have a problem with it. These are tips that she was giving to the the people who was taking these practice tests. Also, there's a directions part. And one thing about a lot of young people that I noticed in there, because she mentioned it, that they're not really good with directions. And I think the reason why is because the equipment that's in everybody's hands today, that you can easily, find your way. Well, I don't know about easily, but you can find your way by using your phone. But this test that you will be taking with the fire department is like the old school way, as far as, and you would have to know which way is east, west, and north and south, that sort of thing. And I was impressed, at what they were doing, and they're not getting paid for this. They're not getting paid for this. They're doing it on their own private time. And like I said, it was at least about 25 to 30 young people in this session, and they do this all over Dade County. And for the most part, I would say about 95 to 99% of them are non-white black young people. That's one of the main reasons why I was really impressed, about it, that somebody is taking the time to do this on their own time, personal time in itself. And that's all I can think about. There's some more things that are really constructive, but I'll bring it up as I follow more of what is being done. And thanks for listening.
Well, Uncle Luke is rolling over in his grave. That is super constructive to hear. Retired firefighter in Florida, and particularly for that sort of job, which is such a unique niche in terms of, he said, even just understanding what's east, north, west, south. For lots of folks, myself included, you could just stick them in the city that they're in and say, now point north. Ooh-wee. So, and those specific types of skills, that might be the sort of thing that and that's Fuller talked about this forever, that people classified as white, they could get those sort of skills, not even need a program like that, because all the white people on the fire department, oh, that's my uncle, I ever showed it, they just take me down to the fire department, and I already know all that stuff, east, north, and boom, 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 and they take me out on the call, so I can see this. Oh, this is how you do this. Oh, okay, this is what you do that. Oh, okay. He already told me. Okay, so the test is written out. This is how you got to do it. Boom, 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 boom. I already know all that. Got to be on time. Can't be late. Can't be. Excuse me. If you can't be early, be on time. You do all that stuff in advance. And it would be the same for the bank. It would be the same if you wanted to be an educator. It'd be the same if you wanted to be a mechanic. You could just run down the line of any industry, any field. You would have white people right there, if not your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, all that information right there. White people do an extraordinary job. Exactly what we've been hearing today. All that racism and cronyism and nepotism at hiring their other relatives for these jobs. You have lots of non-white people who do not have access to this sort of labor expertise to pass on. Mostly if you're just going to let black people be custodians, janitors, all I can, teach you about this sweeping, cleaning this toilet. Not that I'm despair. I'm just saying that white people, racists, that's what we heard today. We don't promote non-white people. We will invent jobs for unqualified white people. We don't promote qualified niggers. We tell them they're illiterate. We can't read you. See? That's what Mr. Riley said. Like, dang, you got these white people. That's Herbert's son-in-law. He ain't even finished the training. Wait a minute. What do you mean? That is the system of white supremacy in total. But even on top of that, if they want to, they can get access to all the information, like he said, from that program, And if they wanted to, be exemplary at firefighting. I didn't need that program. Got all the information. Talked to my uncles, talked to my dad, talked to my grandma, whatever. Ready to roll. For black people, yeah. And what I've been saying too, a lot of times we don't talk to our offspring about the job. So, man, that is marvelous. I sit going around and talking to young people. Might even be some privileged black males participating in this program to go and talk to these young folks. Like, wow, just brilliant. And we need more of that, to have older non-white people talking seriously to young non-white people about the workplace, what to expect, things to do, things not to do, how racism, white supremacy is going to really dominate your work experience until we solve this problem. And so making correct logical adjustments for that, like that is so lacking and needed. That is with music to my ears to hear that they have a program of this nature to try to get non-white people, see if they can get more of them hired in the fire department and then adequately prepared to be successfully hired in the fire department. Like, bravo.
They had the study books. Oh, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
They had the study books out on the table, the study books that they should purchase or get their hands on in some kind of way. And also they do practice the physical test. And one of the leaders were warning them about staying in shape. Because they don't want them to just think that just the physical test is the only thing I have to be in shape about. But during a course of time, you have to stay in shape and not pay attention to the people who've been on the job that may be out of shape, for about the person's been on the job about 15 years. You want to stay in shape on that job, when it comes down to it. One of the important reasons about knowing directions is that you can be inside of a fire, and your crew don't know where you're at, and you would have to explain on where you're located at, and from that standpoint alone, you have to know east, west, north, and south, or they're gonna have a hard time finding you, because I think I've mentioned on this program before, they can't. On the television and movies and whatnot, they can't really describe real fires, what it's like to be in a real fire, because if it was, the entire TV screen would be blank. You can't see anything, and so you have to know your directions from an old school standpoint, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Geography is very important. That is perhaps the number one lesson I learned while in Wisconsin. That in Milwaukee is dangerous, but geography is very important. And many people do not know, you could take them out on the clearest of days, and they would not be able to pick out north, south, in the city that they were born in, been there for 20 years or more, and they could not pick out north, south, east, west. And I think that information is available on your phone. I know it's on mine, but whew, man, geography is important. Let's see. Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. The numbering now. So we still have not heard anyone talk about, they barged in on me, bathroom and workplace. None of that, which, like I said, I didn't have any examples before today and Mr. Riley in Kansas City. So I at least feel a little bit better that this is not like some widespread thing that I have just missed out on. Because like I said, I hadn't even brought that up in workplace before in terms of you go to the bathroom, make sure you lock the stall, don't have no expectation of privacy when you go to the bathroom in the workplace. I'd never thought of that before today, but here we are. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call, Gus. Greetings to all the cows and callers. I guess I'll say briefly about the Charlie Kirk discussion on the work site. When it first happened, one of the employees reported to me that it was a shame that that guy got shot. I didn't know who she was referring to at the time. Not until later that day that I found out who it was. But no one has really brought it up in any discussion in my website in, full explanation. It's always been
Is
like
it
that
your
guy.
volume sounds very muffled or low? Is it possible maybe I don't know if you're on speakerphone or not, but is it possible maybe you could speak up? Lots of black self-respect and or get closer to your microphone, or you can turn the volume up on your microphone specifically. I heard Charlie Kirk, but just make sure we can all hear what you're saying. If you could start over, lots more volume, sir.
Can you hear me better now?
Much better.
Yeah, apologies. I had the earpiece in. I guess I have to get some new ones or send those back. But yeah, about on my work site, when it comes to discussions about Charlie Kirk, it hasn't been much of that. One person brought it to my attention that it even happened. I wasn't aware that it happened until later on that day. I didn't know what she was talking about until I looked it up. So, but as far as discussing them at length, no, I haven't heard anyone on my job discuss it at length. It's always been is in reference. We'll be talking about something else, and it will reference that like that guy that got shot or something like that, but nothing at full length. I'm sorry. Am I being heard? Hello? Someone's speaking. Sound like a
Oh,
female
yes, we can
speaking.
hear you.
Oh, apologies. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I guess I will talk about. I was recently selected to go to a seminar for the department with a bunch of the admin officials. This was a voluntary thing, although it was brought to my attention that by being put in close contact with a lot of these people, it may give me, more visibility and, going back to that soft skill thing, be able to be promoted to a higher paying salary if I, get to know or talk to a lot of these people who are, running different departments. So I decided to go ahead and participate in this thing. It it was mainly just helping, like a voluntary thing, helping them out, direct the people the different chiefs to the different seminar rooms. I was first placed outside, guiding chiefs who were just arriving to the different banquet rooms. And then when that part was done, they wanted us to recite something they call group agreements. These are like different, statements that are made to, while in this meeting. They do it all the time to, set the tone of the meeting. I was originally selected to recite one of number 5 on the list, and I'll recite a little bit of it right now. Expect to experience discomfort. Speak your truth, i.e., from your own experience. We are not going to solve racism and inequality in our organization today, but we can start today by committing to an ongoing dialogue and a journey of growth together. Yeah, so that was the one that they wanted me to recite. I ended up asking my chief, after I read it, I ended up asking, could this verbiage be changed or altered just a little bit? Because I didn't really want to say anything about racism, especially not that it can't be solved today. I don't believe that. The chief ended up, going to her boss and asking, could I do a different one? later on that day, like an hour later, I ended up hearing from my direct supervisor that I will be reciting a different group agreement that had nothing to do with racism. So I was happy to get that changed. Yeah, so that was what we did the other day, and it was an interesting experience. I had a chance to go into this situation, meet the different division chiefs, and also I got a chance to leave early from the location, the work site that day as well. So I guess some of the benefits of volunteering, I guess. I guess one of the questions that you stated was, has anyone ever walked in on me while in the stall? I would have to say that has happened before, a long time ago, and it was due to the fact that I did not, lock the stall when I was in it. So they quickly, backed out and closed it, but I ended up quickly locking it after that. But that was, I guess, a bought lesson, so to speak. As far as this was talking about my sibling, my brother. He just recently lost 2 jobs. One of the jobs he lost due to downsizing. He was an overnight truck driver. He has been driving for this company for about like 6-7 months so far, and they just they let him go because of downsizing. But he was not too worried at the time about that because he had another job already, ready to go. This was a job delivering, I guess, dirt to a construction site. Although he ended up losing or being disqualified from this program for not passing the drug test. He can get back in the program. It's going to be a fee of $900 to get back in the program. So he is a bit upset at this whole situation. And finally, I'll say to just victims in general, marijuana addiction is serious, and I encourage non-white people, black males in particular, to avoid it altogether. But that's what I have to say, Gus, and thanks for taking my call.
Wow. Dr. Welsing tried to tell us more than a decade ago, and in fact, she said it was black males in particular and their cannabis addiction. But, hey, much obliged for sharing. Wow, they make it expensive. And especially in this day and age when so much is about tolerance of substance abuse and empathy particularly towards white substance abusers. Like, hey, if you got someone who's gainfully employed and trying to do the right thing, why are we going to toss them out of a constructive labor program just because they, do a little puff pass, do a little smoky? We all love Friday. It's legal in most of the U.S. now, recreational. Any hoodles. Remember Tracy Morgan? For folks who drive trucks and such, I think he was hit by someone driving one of those big rigs. I don't think they were under the influence of cannabis, but that's why. Safety, workplace safety, that's why. Anyway, what does that moron say? Sobriety would be best. That's what he says. Anyway, I can only say we talked about lack of employment before. That, hey, can happen to any of us in the system of white supremacy racism. Laid off, fired, downsized, you didn't pass the drug test, uppity, you make it up. But you can be fired in the next 5 minutes with without cause. You could be the most competent employee there. They said, well, we had a hard time reading you. You know, you didn't seem like a team player. And that's exactly what they've told some niggers on the way out. You might have the best sales record of anyone. Oh, we had a hard time reading you, you illiterate nigger. Any hoodles. That is so bizarre. He said he volunteers for this program, soft skills, if you will, and they have this statement written out and they want him to read. I don't like reading anything where I didn't write it, like I'm being volunteered to recite something, like, ooh-wee. And then I'm a Negro, privileged black male, and I got to read something about racism that I didn't write? Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. They got me good. They got me like, whoa. Excellent. He didn't go in and protest, and I don't even believe that he didn't even say anything about, hey, I don't believe that racism can't be solved. I don't believe that. You need to he didn't even say that. Is it possible I could read something else? Like, oof. Man. And he said, no problem, no problem. They went, switched it up. He didn't have to say anything about racism at all. Yes. But that is important too, because and for years we've said that I can go back and pinpoint the exact program where I learned why that is important, that many people do, even if they don't explicitly verbalize it that way. Many, if not most, non-white people think racism cannot be solved. Fuller has even talked about this before. He said that so even if we don't verbalize it, we think this problem, the system of white supremacy racism, it cannot be solved. Why talk about something that can't be solved? And so it ends up, and I mean, for a lot of us, it's just a goofy exercise. You can hear that in the way that we talk about it. Whew. To even verbalize, like, now, this problem can't be solved, and we can't solve it. So we're not even going to offer up any serious solutions, and we're going to put old Leroy out here to tell you about it. Come on. Come on. Come on. And like I said, that Mark Crutcher, the white man specifically, was Ma'afa 21 documentary film. This was December of 2009. First year we got back on the program. But he was talking about white people did an experiment, of course, and they had two groups. They had one group, it was a really difficult mathematical equation, and they gave them the same difficult problem, but they told the one group this problem can be solved. There is an answer. The other group, they told them this problem can't be solved, but just, do your best. And he said it was stunning. The work that they put in and blah, blah, blah. The group that they told it could be solved versus the group that it could not. Said when you have people thinking that a problem cannot be solved, they don't really put in effort. It just becomes kind of nonsense, yawn, fall off to sleep, waste of time anyway, as opposed to, oh no, this can be solved and we are going to do it right now. That's what the latter, that's what we need with the system of white supremacy racism. This problem can be solved. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. The sobriety might help us so we can think a little bit better as we go about solving this here problem. Any hoodles, best of luck. Family member, hopefully he can, privileged black male, hopefully he can get back in the program, and it'll just be, maybe it'll be a little bit more pricey, but it'll be a lesson learned for the career he has chosen. Sobriety would be best. Keep the stall locked at work. Sobriety would be best. Lesson learned. Much obliged. that is wacky. They wrote it out. Yeah, this racism thing, it's going to be with us forever. And people say that racism is going to be here forever. That's the other way that they say it. It'll either be this problem can't be solved, and racism will be here for the rest of my lifetime. Or racism will be here, I can't imagine a world without. It's lots of different ways that they say it, but I think most people wish, if it's white people, that the system of white supremacy will last forever and nothing can be done about it. That is a super duper racist lie. Let's see. *61 other folks, if they have commentary, untiljustice@gmail.com. If you have written commentary, suggestions, Charlie Kirk. They've been chatting about old brother Charlie on your job and the bathroom thing. Since now we got one person, he said he felt like it was, my bad for not locking the stall. But yeah, I had not really heard that before. Bursting in on black people in the restroom in the workplace or doing something to them while they're in the bathroom. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary from the workplace and or suggestions, lines should be open. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Mo in Dallas. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Greetings, Gus. Greetings, listeners and callers. Thank you for the program. I missed the majority of the I missed the majority of the program, or at least the segments. But as far as conversations about Charlie Kirk at my current employer, no. Not much at all. Not that I don't think that they're being had, but no one's mentioned it. I will say that I have made a pretty fair impression where I was, is a new word, voluntold that I would be preferred to work extra hours, which is fine by me. And it was based on my performance. A white man actually asked my supervisor who I was, and she recently asked me would I, prefer to come in early and to, some days and an additional day. So I'm proud of myself for that. I did see the as far as Charlie Kirk is concerned, I'm kind of backtracking. I did see a Jimmy Kimmel sketch or joke or just a mention of Charlie Kirk, and then I heard that people were calling to his broadcast networks and they threatened to pull their FCC licensing. And he was subsequently terminated, or at least the rumor is he's been terminated. I thought that was very interesting, and that inspires me not to speak on the issue at all. I think, I haven't had anyone burst in on me in the restroom stall. But at this job, even though I think I'm doing well, I noticed that I'm consistently tailed to the restroom. I feel like it's odd, and I did ask a couple of other non-white coworkers that they feel like they were, if they were experiencing some of the same things, and I don't think they noticed, but I think I may have inspired them to notice. That's all. I'll mute my line.
Did they wait a minute now? He said when he would go to the little boy's room, he felt like he was being tailed. I'm assuming that means followed. Like, Leroy, is he? What? You going in there, Snowcoat? What? And so he said, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm I'm acting wild. Let me ask some of the other black brothers. Leroy, come here. Look here. Do they follow you when you go to the John? He said he may have inspired them to begin paying attention, because he said it seemed like at first nobody said, now that you say something, black brother, yes, they have been following me all this time. I just never said anything about it. It seemed like once he made them aware of it, they noted it, and it was, yeah, they are following me when I go to the John. Like, what? Did I hear that correctly? And so they're following all of the privileged Negro males. They follow them all when y'all go to the bathroom?
I won't say all, but I'll say at least 3, but I only work with 4. So 4 including me.
Wow. And they were not like cognizant that, yes, they follow me when I go to the bathroom until you said something about it. Once you said something about it, then they became aware, like, oh, dang, yeah, they do follow me when I go to the bathroom. Is that it?
Yes, sir. It was kind of like, I'll tell you how I mentioned it. I was like, when I'm in the restroom, or when I drink water and things, very hot job. And when I go, all of a sudden the lead person also has to go. And he spends a lot of time in the restroom. No one follows him to the restroom. So, and I was like, do you see, I mentioned insert name here, when you're in the restroom? They was like, yeah. He kind of comes in after me, and I was like, is it every time? They were like, almost. So we kind of had a laugh about it, but we don't do much hanging out in the restroom. So it was just, I don't know if we're being timed or what, but it's not, it is kind of uncomfortable, but I don't think we made a fuss about it or anything. It's just noticed.
Black male privilege. He said, Nassau, it's not all of us, but it's only 4 of us. Man. Woo. With that sort of job where, he said it's kind of hot and that sort of thing. And I mean, hey, we've already played the reports from Wall Street Journal where they were talking about different biometrics and such to track how long do you stay in the lavatory. We're going to have it down to the second, make sure this is not some old time theft type of a thing. We even pay you to come hang out with the John or to talk about Charlie Kirk. But it would not surprise me at all. Well, is Leroy going to let me go see. What you smoking crack in here? What you doing? And then how long you going to be in here? What you doing? You stealing our toilet paper? What you doing? Got to keep my eye. I told you. Pac was right, man. All eyes on you in the workplace in the worst way. Now I think he said, man, the supervisor, he spends a whole lot of time in the bathroom. Now I don't know if he's drinking his water, keeping hydrated. It's a hot job. I don't know if he's snorting fentanyl, but he spends a lot of time in the bathroom. Other folks don't go following him. What you doing in here? How many times you gonna go to the bathroom? Why you need to be in here so long? They don't do all that. He gets to go, do his business, rejoin the group. We don't even check, make sure he washed his hands. Privileged black male go to the John. Ooh. No expectation of privacy when you go to the loo in the workplace. Like, wow. I'd never thought. I might have to, man, if that is the case, I might even go to the bathroom before I go to work. Like, I'm going to see if I can minimize my restroom trip. I mean, if you're going to be there for 8 hours, but at least I'm going to see if I can minimize. I'm going to go, like, that might be the last thing since I get to work early. I get there, shift starts at 9. I get there at 8:40. 20 minutes, I should have time. I can go across the street or whatever. That way I can use the bathroom someplace privately, locked door, go to the restroom, and then go start my shift. And then if you get a break for lunch, same thing. I'm going to use the restroom someplace quiet, lock. And then I can come back to the workplace. But, like, man, that is no expectation of privacy in the workplace. Maybe, I guess, keep that in mind if you're thinking you're going to go in the bathroom and have a phone call. Maybe call your care mate and tell them how racist your coworkers are. Might not be the best idea. Let's see. Other than much obliged, Mo in Dallas, he said he hadn't heard folks talking about Charlie Kirk in the workplace. Bravo on that one. Great. We can just get back to staying hydrated and maybe a little restroom privacy, maybe. They can just get the biometrics. Just put the card up. That way you know how long we were in the bathroom. Other folks who dialed in, if we missed you totally, line should be open. Proceed. See. Oh, see, I know we have our caller at the courthouse should be with us while folks are getting their thoughts. We should be here Friday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. As already stated, Catherine Massey Book Club, Susan Smith, Sins of the Mother. Being a black dude, and imagine even that one. I got to go to work for 2 weeks, and I'm thinking, in the midst of the O.J. Simpson trial, a Negro has absconded 2 white babies, basically. I got to get up and go to work. That's what they're talking about on the news all day long. And then look at me. Man, no politics in the workplace. Man, even that would have been a fun case. Once though, you got to get through the first 9 days, and then once you get to day 10, that wench lied and did what? Even then, nothing to say in the workplace, although I would smile. Shame. Or I hit him with the fuller. Shame. And then right back to work. Nothing. Anyway, that's tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's not really funny, like I said, because, hey, there were black people who said it wasn't, we had to talk about this on our job. It was the police came to my job. Hey, Leroy, what you know about these missing white boys? Come on down to the station and tell us what you know. Imagine going back to work the next day on that one until they find out what really happened. Brother said it made me feel kind of bad. Understatement of the century. If you still employed, I wish they had asked me, do you still have a job? Like, man, because I think this was before they had found out she alleged. Are you still employed? You down at the welfare office? You unemployed? Man, you need a few dollars. Black male privilege. Let's see. Caller at the courthouse should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, I'd like to share some reports. In terms of the Charlie Kirk story, there was a post that I did see on Facebook from the manager. I think it was something to the effect of something needs to be changed or something like that. I recognize the name, but it was a comment like that. And I just observed where a lot of the white people been, I guess, not really speaking too much since that shooting happened last week. And I think also, for some reason, that Cracker Barrel story, some of the coworkers on the job, I think, didn't really, I guess, like how that situation started out, but they don't really speak on the politics. And another situation that came about is how they like to use food. Like earlier this week, there was a white person that tried to offer me some cookies or whatever, and tried to say that, oh, these are vegan and they're a special kind of brand and everything. I just still told her, I said, no, I'm good. I don't want any. So she just looked at me kind of funny, like what? You still are consistent, and you still refusing whatever we offer you, okay? And a black person, somebody's black, the next day came up, and I thought it was like kind of like a setup type of thing where she said, I have a peach. She said she has a peach fruit because I know you're a healthy eater, and I hadn't even said that to any of them. So I just still refuse that as well. I don't really want anything from them, and I wanted to report this because I think it's been constructive in my favor, where I just don't really do any of that, participating in those luncheons and things like that. So I think they tried to get someone black to offer me something. And another thing that occurred was this same black person that's in a, I guess, lead worker position, she was on a lunch break, and these two white people came into the area, and they were looking for this black female, I guess, to pay her a compliment, but I don't know if it was a compliment. The terms they used, they said the person's name, and they wanted to say that they wanted to compliment her on being so competent. They used the word competent, and I never really heard that word used like that. So I wanted to mention that. And I have two other reports I like to share. One of them was there was this tally sheet that the civil department and there's a black female that is the assigned manager supervisor in the area. They've been given this tally sheet, and it's detailed from the hour of 8 o'clock to 5 p.m., where they have to, I guess, check off however many calls they take in and however much indexing they do and things of that nature. But it seems like the two black people at the front counter tend to be the ones who get, I guess, targeted, which led to an incident from a white woman who did not like the response from the black female saying to her, or something like that. So she was upset about that, about her saying, okay. And she tried to go complain on her or report her, but it didn't really work. But it just goes to show the entitlement of suspected racists, and just in a comment or a response like that. And they've been targeting this person, this victim, on trying to say that she's losing documents, when that's not the case at all. This is the responsibility of a white person. And they've done that where they'll try to pass on, they like to say, pass the buck on to someone else. And in this case, it was this black person. And the person whose job this is supposed to be estate and probate. I'll end with this, where she, I think, was trying to set up a black person to react by saying that every time she sees this bailiff who won this discrimination case because he's white, she says every time she sees him, she holds her hand out, I guess trying to congratulate him. And she's asking, oh, did you get the money yet? Oh, I didn't get the money yet. So now this is the first black sheriff that had to do this trial, and they have to give this white person $14,000, I think. It's 14 or 24, something of that nature. So yeah, he's saying that he hasn't gotten the money yet. So this white person is saying that every time she sees this other white person, this sheriff, that she holds her hand out to him. So that's all I have to share right now, Gus. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
She had the Alexa on her too. She was waiting to record. Let me see if I get him to say something about old Charlie the Bailiff. What you think about that? Yeah, you got that 14K. What you think? Let's say. And they wait, see if they can record something. It's transcript always being recorded. Might be video too. Have you on TikTok, YouTube, all of it. Let's see. He said, if I heard correctly, he said some of the white people in the workplace seemed like they were upset about the Cracker Barrel. I said, now, wait a minute. Now, for people, I don't know, live outside the U.S. maybe, or haven't been paying attention, they had a controversy. I guess they changed the logo recently. This is CNN, just so we have a little bit of context. Traffic has fallen 8%. 8% since the chain initially changed its logo on August 19, the company said. If trends continue, it expects a traffic decline of 7 to 8% for the rest of the first quarter of its 2026 financial year. The company said it expects earnings for its first quarter, which began August 1, to be significantly below the prior year, due both lower traffic and roughly $16 million in investments in advertising and marketing. Cracker Barrel shares closed down 3.16% on Wednesday and fell 9.58% in after-hours trading. The old-timey chain had recently scrapped major parts of its turnaround plan after right-wing backlash, they mean racist. It dropped its minimalist logo last month and then halted restaurant remodels last week. The backlash began when Cracker Barrel rolled out a new logo that got rid of its old-timer figure and the barrel in August. It sent the stock sinking as much as 12% amid backlash stoked by right-wing figures online. They mean racist. Even the president jumped in when the chain reverted back to its old logo. All of your fans very much appreciated. Good luck in the future. Make lots of money, and most importantly, make your customers happy again. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social. And I'll stop there, but dang, like now, this is another one. I would not be talking about this in the workplace. Now, they said right wing, I say racist. Maybe they were talking about some of his co-workers at the courthouse, mad. Man, we were going to go to Cracker Barrel. They changed the door. Can we get back to how about we find these documents that's lost as opposed to griping about Cracker Barrel? How about that? Let's see. He said they have more food at the courthouse. Like, they should just go ahead and get like a cafeteria or something on site since they're going to have so much food-related activities. But he said, I think we got racial showcasing that they already knew. We got this whole, suspicious colored fella. He won't take it if we come and bring him a peach. So, yeah. Hey, Lakeisha, come here. Give the peach to the black boy. See, he'll take it from him. Yeah, here we go. He said they think they got the black person to give it. And same thing, really, that I say all the time. Ideally, if we have a job, you do not need anybody I need a sandwich. I'm starving. I'm not going to be able to eat. I need a banana. I'm going to starve if y'all don't bring me a chicken nugget, to the work. Like, come on. I'm employed. Supposedly, I can get a meal. So, if they're talking, even if I work with all non-white people, no thank you. If it's potluck or we brought in there, and they might do that something, because he said, hey, I didn't tell anybody here. I love me some peaches. He said, I didn't tell anybody here. I'm just an old health nut. Ooh-wee, I just love me some fresh produce and go to the farmer's market and I didn't tell. They don't know. I might love me an egg McMuffin. They don't know. Chicken nuggets. They don't know. Come with get the black person to bring me a peach. And even he didn't say, I called them a whole lot of names and get out of here. Come. What are you doing working with the white people? No, thank you. Same thing I would have said from the white person. No, thank you. He's saying what he had told us. It was a black person. I think it was like a black bailiff or something. Black person who worked there. Same thing. They had food activities, and apparently the black brother had a good code. Oh no, I'm good. I don't I got a job. I'll get my sandwich. Thank you. And they said, we're gonna make you eat this. I said, dang, they force feeding at the corner. I was like, why they were gonna tie Leroy down, act like he's not gonna take this food. Tie him down. Like what? Leroy might be on a diet. Who knows what kind of food they were offering? Like, come on. Let's see. He said they were coming to compliment the black person and say she's so competent. Now, I will say this. I will take that over because he's told us before it's been a black female who was there. And I said, oh, she got such a cute dress. Blah, blah, blah. And then the same black female, they came gossiping and talking bad about her later. So, whatever. But I will take a you are competent. I will take that over a your hair is nice, your makeup looks cute. Where'd you get that bracelet from? Oh, those shoes are not. Eh. And in fact, the competent, can we get that in writing? That's the sort of thing that want that remembered when it's time for my performance evaluation and time for that bonus at the end of the year. Hey, Susan down the hallway just said she told me I'm so competent, know how to do my job. Hey, get that in writing. Get that in writing. Take that all day long. All day long. That's what we're supposed to be talking about in the workplace, not Charlie Kirk. How competent I am, how valuable I am to the team, how I can be trained so that I can be more competent and get that raise, get that bonus, get that promotion. Yeah. Let's see. He said they got the tally sheet that's supposed to detail, what you did and how long it took and all of that. He said it seems like it's focused on the black people, probably in the segregated area, on, what are they doing? How long they got to do this? And blah, blah. Now, he already told us they got the white fella, my white cousin, basically. We both unprofessional, don't know how to talk to people. They don't have no tally. What is he up to today? How many people has he been rude and curt to this week? They don't have no tallies on that. Black females over in the segregated, what you up to? What you doing? How long did it take you to do that? You wasting, or how long you in the bathroom, even since, we talked about that today. He said the one black female, I guess they keep tallies on her. The white woman reported her for saying, I said, wow, that's super close to Neely Fuller. I started thinking, I was like, let me see, under what context would that be considered like sass mouthing, or you did something discourteous saying, And I thought, I'm thinking like, ooh, that's minimal. I said, okay. Oh, okay, so how about this? So if the white woman comes to the counter and she says, this is my legal identification. And the black female looks at it and says, I said, that might be one. She got sassy. See, she said something of that, and she presented a form or asked her a question, and the white woman gave an answer. Is this your legal name? Yes, that's my legal name. And the black female, that was her response. Who does this nigga? That's about the only context that I could think of where some sort of scenario where she used that as an expression of disbelief. Like, this nigger woman sassed me. I told her, whatever, or I presented this information, and she sassed me talking about, like she didn't believe me as though I lied, or, who is she? That's about the only, like, I don't know. I don't know. Are you all not allowed to say, Do they have something where they tell you explicitly don't say that to customers, people that come to the courthouse?
Gus, I haven't heard of anything like that where someone hasn't been allowed to say like a or anything, because this person she hung the phone up on the black lady at the counter, because she was calling back to the DR department to notify her that someone was there for child support. And she asked her something else, and she said, And the black manager, from what I heard, overheard this exchange and knew the white person hung the phone up on the black person. So I don't think it really went anywhere, but I think the white woman was really upset about just that kind of response. So she went she went to the black person, the court director, and I guess he just thought he was gonna get upset with the other black person. So it didn't look like it went that way, but I think she tried to make it become that. But I don't know of any kind of rule of principle where they can't say have a response like that. But I wanted to confirm that that's the way I think the white person replied to the black person, like, who are you supposed to be? Jam the phone down to the receiver. Just by asking her to come up to the front counter. You have a customer from child support, so they've been having issues with each other all week, just on that interaction.
Wow. He said all week long. Dang. See, that that as well. All of this over. And he said the white woman slammed the phone down on the black female who was working at the courthouse. All of that, we got to talk about this for a whole week. All that time and energy and words and stress over, and that's about it. Who do you sass mouth the nigger and all that? That's one where I'd be so glad if they have like a recording of the call, which I would hope they do at the courthouse, so that we can, all of that, the context of when I said all of that, we'll have all that information. And if anything, this can be a training, not a teachable moment. It'll be a training moment, because I think that's what they say sometimes if the call is going to be recorded, like, okay, did she do anything incorrect? If not, man, we had to waste a whole week for this. Racism, white supremacy. And apparently people call up to the courthouse and get sassy all the time. He said they just wanted her to come to apparently to verify something, and beg pardon, to verify something, and she got upset about that. Who is this? You don't, what you did. This might even be another one of those where he's told us before, where sometimes he'll be working with a customer, white person, maybe even a non-white person too. He'll give them the correct information, and they'll say, this nigga, he doesn't know what I don't even know why they hired this boy. Let me get a white person. Is there a white person that works here? And the white person will come and say exactly what he already told them. And it's, oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure, these colored people. And then they go on about their business. Like, if it had been a white female, or they could have put my white brother on there who is unprofessional and doesn't know how to talk to people. They could have put him on the phone. He could have said exactly what that black female, everything she said. Everything. Identical. And we would not have been at this point. She might not have even slammed the phone down.
She would have laughed.
Come on. Facts. I could be totally wrong. Maybe she's just a rude spirit. That does happen. But, man, I suspect if this had been old, Teddy, whatever my white fella's name is, had been on there and said the exact same thing verbatim, he wouldn't have had to waste no week going back and forth about professionalism and how you treat customers and what did you say and all. Come on. He said, and this is why I say policy and procedure. If there's any sort of deviation from policy and procedure, we should report it. As non-white people, just immediate, whatever it is, just report it, because so frequently they blame us. He said that there were some papers missing, and they immediately, we're going to blame it on black female. She did it. Yep. Oh, yeah. Lakeisha did it. It's her fault. He said, wait a minute. That's not even her responsibility. That's the white woman. Nope. Lakeisha did that. She lost those papers. That's why I say, now, she might not even know these papers are missing. It's not her duty or whatever, but that right there is why I say, if you do become aware there's some sort of irregularity, and even, let's say we're Lakeisha in this situation, let's say she becomes aware that these documents are missing. You don't have to go and blame, accuse anybody, anything of the sort. I'm just reporting, whoa, there may be a problem, and I'm going to let the white people, or if it's non-white people, but I'm going to let the folks who are in charge, who have the ability to solve this problem, I'm going to alert them. That way, hey, they know I did not create this problem. I am in the business of solving problems. And like I said, I'm not reporting to get somebody in trouble or whatever, because it might even be that I messed up something. But this looks like a problem. Documents are missing, or they're not where they're supposed to be at. Let's see if we can get this corrected ASAP before somebody gets in trouble, mainly me. That's why I say always in that spirit report, because they do this all the time. We're going to find out at the Catherine Massey Book Club, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And I mean anything like what? Well, I didn't kill these 2 white children. Let's blame it on Leroy. And anything in between. We lost the documents. I stole the $10,000. Anything in between, we're going to blame it on Leroy. We can't blame it on Lakeisha. Yep, she did it. Yep, she lost the papers. Like, come on. Let's see. And then they set you up to. Then we've heard, he said that a few times, whereas white people will come up and it'll always be the same thing that I've said about Charlie Kirk. They'll come up and ask you about Huckleberry Finn. They'll come up and ask you about white man got some sort of cash settlement, $14,000 or whatever. What you think about war? I always put my hand out. You got your money yet? You got your money yet? Try and see if they can provoke you to say something. And this has nothing to do with the workplace. Even this white man settlement, that has nothing to do with the workplace. He didn't get his money, or he got his money, whatever. I'm not in charge of that. Don't have nothing to do with that. Next. They do that sort of thing all the time. That's why I say, hey, we are always talking about things related. That's one where you can just use Fuller. Matter of fact, you can use what the black female accuser says. She go, Charlie, out there, I always stick my hand out. You gonna pay for the lunch today? You got all your money from the settlement, didn't you? And I didn't get it. I ask him every day, gave him all that money. And you go on about your day. Nothing else need be said. Nothing. And I wholeheartedly agree. It's because so much of racism, white supremacy is about baiting non-white people into responding and doing things. That might even be getting the black female to come and try and get that peach on you. See? That type of thing, to see what sort of response and all that. That's why I say, hey, lots of time, the best response, nothing. No thank you on the peach. And that's really the same thing. No thank you. I have nothing to say about the fella in the 14K or whatever it is, what he got or didn't get, moving forward. Best way to respond. Like they might have a recording. If they are, that's what I want on the recording. And it'll be 2 niggers that got in trouble this week for saying, And if that's the case, then they can go ahead and put that in the policy and hey, don't say in the workplace. And you can explain why. Any hoodles, much obliged. That's what I say. Say less. I'm always an advocate of saying less. Unless somebody asks you a direct question, you don't have to speak. It's a little bit more difficult to get in trouble not saying anything. Any hoodles. And I guess lock the bathroom stall. Our lessons for the day. Lock the door and or the stall, both if you can. Door and stall lock. Click, click. Sobriety would be, man, got that one painfully today. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. Hopefully it was just a pricey lesson for today. $900. We just moved forward and could have had $900. Could have put that aside for the Thanksgiving jamboree or, Christmas coming up and Madden. Sobriety would be best. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient. In fact, Creator, remind us not or to stop saying not all white people are racist. Stop gossiping, especially about non-white people. Stop name-calling people classified as black. Stop producing throwaway offspring. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.